Welcome back, everybody, into Bill's Chat. I am Josh McCarty. I hope all of you out there had a very Merry Christmas and are on your way to having a very Happy New Year. With me tonight, as always, is Luka. And Luka, for the first time since 2019, a team other than the Buffalo Bills is going to be AFC East champions. The New England Patriots win the AFC East this season because of the Bills' loss today to the Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 13-12. How are you doing?
Um, I am probably doing as okay as I ever could have imagined coming off a loss. If I had to put it as into perspective is the way you've just laid it out. Yeah, hey, hats off to the Patriots. They beat us week 5. They took care of the schedule in front of them, if that's the way to put it. And made it possible to win the division again for the first time since 2019. And the Bills are not the AFC East Kings. But besides it being my daughter's first ever Bills loss she's had to suffer through, not that I think she really can recollect much from that game. She was a little upset, I will add, once the final whistle went. I feel as good as ever about this Bills team following that loss. And obviously we can talk a lot about that because as ugly of a game as it was when it comes to weather, when it comes to the first half, whatever you want to say, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for a couple little things that I can hopefully say won't rear their ugly head in a fashion, or would like to believe that they won't be possible due to a kicker off the street being your kicker, for example, or whatever it is, being there in the games that matter most in just a couple of weeks, the Bills would have walked away with this with a win. And that is a very, very, very good football team across from them. There's a reason they won the Super Bowl last year. They're a confident bunch. They're a physical bunch. And they did just about everything they possibly could when it comes to the Bills to be in that game, remain in that game, and have a chance to win that game. And I am definitely more confident about this team after a loss than I feel like I have been since, ironically enough, 2019, when there were some other losses in there where it's like this team is still positive direction, positive movement, and there is bright future ahead for this Buffalo Bills team.
I'm with you. And we talked a little bit before the show started, and I've been carrying this opinion of the game since it ended. And then you let me know that was how you were feeling. And I thought for sure I was going to blow your mind with what I was thinking. So my thought is when you and I are aligned like that, my guess is a lot of folks out there listening are probably feeling the same way. Maybe we're in the minority. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with us. Hopefully by now, you all know us well enough to know that Luka and I are not homers. We just aren't. And we have plenty of takes out there. We have when the Bills trade out of the Xavier Worthy spot where Luka storms off. We call the Bills out when bad things happen. We've done post-playoff loss shows where we're giving credit to the other team. So I hope you understand that when what we're going to do is really put a positive spin on a game that resulted in a loss today. It's not us rose-colored glasses telling you everything's great when it's not. This is my genuine feeling. And I agree with what you said, Luka. I feel better about the Bills following the Eagles' loss today, 13-12, than I did after all of their high variance roller coaster wins this season. The Ravens game, the Bengals game, the Patriots road game, those were all exhilarating Sundays. Amazing. I had so much fun as the Bills were coming back and winning those games. None of it felt sustainable. You're playing with fire. You can't go down that many points to the Ravens and hope Derrick Henry fumbles. You can't go down that many points to the Patriots and then just hope that Drake May forgets how to throw a forward pass. You can't do that with the Bengals and then just hope that Joe Burrow, who's been perfect all day, turns it over on 2 straight throws. So, fun day, but this was sustainable. And what do I mean by that? What I saw today from the Bills was, one, solid execution of the end of game clock management by Sean McDermott. Taking that touchdown play on 4th down to where that is the last play of the game, win or lose. You know you're going to go for 2 if you get it. Super smart, super sharp. He was on it in that situation. And I know, hey, that's basic 101. Sure, but people that want to criticize Sean McDermott for how he handled the end of a game scenario in 2021 have to start to give credit for this guy being sharper in these scenarios. He doesn't make foolish clock blunders in these scenarios. That was on display. Two, Luka and I have sat here week after week, even after wins, laughing about this wide receiver group. Because the reality of this situation, folks, is their receivers, and we're going to talk about all these topics tonight. Okay, so we're going to get in. This is me just laying the landscape of this of the show. Their receivers, because of the way they run the ball and because of the way they don't threaten secondaries, get the best coverage you could possibly get for one-on-one separation, and they haven't been able to take advantage of it. And today you saw a player in Brandon Cooks that was taking advantage of it, and you also saw a player in Tyrell Shavers who climbed the ladder and made a catch for his quarterback. Two things we hadn't seen all season. And three, and I'm going to kick it back to Luka. You had Josh Allen fumble the ball in a way that was as fluky can be, throwing points off the board. You had a kicker who you hope to God, I mean, we're getting too close to the playoffs now to just assume that Badgley's not going to be the kicker in the playoffs, but you hope Prater comes back. You had a fourth string kicker who was on a practice squad, missed an extra point, and you still were a $250 million quarterback making a layup throw away from beating the Eagles because your defense held the Eagles to 0 points in the second half. And I think it was like 13 yards,
17 total yards.
17 total yards. There's going to be more that we get into. But what I'm telling you, Luka, I don't care about the division. I had already given up on it when I saw what the Patriots had left this season. Mm-hmm. I feel more confident about this Bills team going forward after today, just like you said, after this loss. How much do you think Bills fans want to spend on this game versus what it all means for the playoffs?
I think there's enough substance in this weird game to spend time in understanding what took place for 60 minutes to truly understand why this team is built to play those big postseason games in a fashion that I don't think I'll at least kick it to the AFC. I don't think the AFC is built to win games like what just took place. I don't think there's another team in the AFC that is built or capable of doing things in the fashion and means and ways that the Bills just handled this 60-minute game, because there's just too many question marks in the most key points for those teams that the Bills don't have. And I love you mentioning Sean McDermott's understanding of the clock management, end of game, being poised and understanding everything. I mean, the TV did a great job showing him queued up, ready to go to call that timeout once that 10-second runoff was acknowledged and the whistle goes. And then on top of it, you're even seeing McDermott proactively letting the offense know, when you score this, if you score this, we're going for two. The game is going to end here, which there's multiple reasons, in my opinion, that is a great thing. One, you're going for broke. You're going for the win at that moment in time. You're leaving the ball in the hands of Josh Allen because, unfortunately for you, the off-the-street kicker that has already shown he wasn't the greatest option, although probably the greatest option all at once, but not a dependable option right now. He got one blocked earlier, and it's like it puts you in that position where are you going to even rely on him to tie the game rather than let your $250 million quarterback maybe win the game for you from 2 yards out? No. And then it gives the feeling of we're just trying to get out of this game. He was confident enough in his team to win the game. And from there, we're going to get out of there and learn from this game. And it's just get out of here. You know, the weather conditions were crap. You don't want to risk anything else in overtime, potentially extending the game and seeing something crazy happen. Just let it happen. That's great. And to the point of this game and why the confidence should be there. If you were to just look at the game itself and go, hey, you're going to hold Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to 110 yards passing. Great. Not a great passing team in general right now this year. I think that's a pretty known thing, but you're holding them to 110 yards in the air, period, with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, whatever else you want to call it. And then on top of that, you're going to hold Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts on the ground as well, Tank Bigsby, all of these guys, their ground attack on total will be under 100 yards. It will actually be under 80 yards total on the ground. You are going to go into this game. You're going to hold this team offensively under 200 yards total. You're going to take that 10 out of 10 times. We talked about previously how porous this defense is. It feels like one of the worst rush defenses in the league. There's no way they can win these big games against run heavy, run attacking teams. Well, the Eagles are the cream of the crop when it comes to that level of running attack and being able to dominate people at the line of scrimmage and this and that. And this defense not only held them as on a total under 100 yards on the ground, they held the total offense of this team under 20 yards in the second half to keep them in it. And then eventually the switch flipped for Josh Allen, who got banged up, who's dealing with a lot clearly what's going on. I'm curious to hear what's going on with that ankle as it got rolled up on. He works through all of that. You are a blink of an eye on a 2-point conversion drawn up beautifully. Joe Brady had some questionable calls in this game, but that 2-point play was money, and it was exactly what you want as a look. And unfortunately, Josh Allen not comfortable enough to set his feet a little bit into a throw that he could have absolutely made in his sleep. And because he's fading out, he leads him too much. He pulls it to the left, and here we are dealing with a 13-12 loss. You are that close to beating what feels like one of the more class of the NFL teams in this league, even though they are now 11-5. Yes, they are not going to be the number one seed in the NFC. The Eagles are the defending champs. They are one of the classes of this league. And you went toe to toe with them with a lot of things going against you, especially early on. You know, this team was dysfunctional. It just, I am confident in this team being able to go wherever they are needed to, whether it's Jacksonville in the wild card round, whether it's in New England, whether, you know, they get through the wild card round and have to go to Denver, for instance, whatever matchup is in front of them, they will have the ability to understand who they are and what they are capable of. And they are truly never out of a game because they have a head coach who understands how to manage the game as best as he can. They have a quarterback who can truly do anything you need for him, and a defense when their backs are against the wall and they need to step the F up will do exactly that for you. And when all three of those things happen, Josh, you can have magic occur and allow you to do great things in this league. And those are three huge items that allow you to win games in this league in the toughest and peak moments. And yeah, I'm honestly sad that we have to play a week 18 game at home with red helmets against the Jets next week, because I want postseason football here now. And that game is just going to be kind of like we got to get through this first and then see where we stand before we get to the games that truly matter. But also just in my head, I just remember there are red helmets, so that will be cool. But regardless, I digress. This game, and Bills fans should be sitting there wanting to truly understand what took place, because in my opinion, everything you saw transpire was a quality football game against a quality opponent, and your team was a blink of an eye away from winning it. And they are fully capable in a monsoon, a blink of an eye away from winning it. And realistically, they are capable of beating anyone on any given day, which shouldn't be a surprise to you, but have so much backing and understanding that they can win big games that they will remain in them in the future. And I don't think any game could ever truly run away from them, which can truly lead you to the goals and expectations that we have going into a season with a Josh Allen-led Bills team.
There's just so much about this game to get to, and one of those parts is because the division is no longer in play for the Bills, it actually affords the Bills the luxury, if they choose, to rest guys next week ahead of the playoffs. If there was still that carrot out there dangling of, if Miami beats New England, you could win the AFC East and have a home game in Buffalo. I think the Bills would almost have their hand forced to go for it, because boy, would you have egg on your face if Miami beat New England and then you just lost to the Jets. This does give the Bills that luxury, and this is a team that, you know, as good as we think they can be, has not been able to get out of their own way injury-wise today, and had a couple other guys down today. Kincaid couldn't go today. Daquan Jones couldn't go today. And on the topic of Daquan Jones, Luka, we've seen multiple instances this season where the guy that's either been the incumbent starter or the guy that we assumed would be solid where he's at lets us down with his play, And then whoever the backup is that we didn't think very highly of comes in and things get a lot better. Taylor Rapp going off the field and what many said was a washed up Jordan Poyer coming in. And that was a massive upgrade. Poyer didn't play today, by the way.
Yeah.
If you want to say Keon Coleman, because people were high on him coming off the field, Gabe Davis coming in, it's been an upgrade. We talked about Terrell Bernard, Shaq Thompson, upgrade. Shaq Thompson, even for Milano at times, although Milano these last few weeks, Luka, he's looking like Milano, and that
Yeah.
is massive.
Mhm.
I think it's possible that when we start diving into the all 22 of this game, you might look at that interior line with guys like the two rookies, Deion Walker and TJ Sanders, getting more snaps and Mathis getting more snaps, that maybe Daquan Jones not being there was a good thing. And I have not been overly impressed by Daquan Jones this season, to say the least, but never have I thought that, oh, let's get Fedarian Mathis out there more. But I think it's possible that these guys that just because of their tenure, we assume are good because we associate them with good defenses of Bills past, although Tre'Davious White and Poyer are playing way above their heads right now. I think that's possible. Did you get that same feeling watching this game today? Because for an Eagles team that I know doesn't have the great offensive line of years past, but they still have Saquon Barkley, they still have Hurts. I expected it to be a mismatch in the running game. And there were a couple big Barkley runs, but I felt like this defense held up really well, especially considering these are two wide receivers that you can't stack the box against.
I think the defense did a great job today. I mean, the numbers show you that they did. I think that overall, this is just a performance that I would categorize that all the concerns we had about the Bills defense and personnel concerns and things like that, and who's going to step up, why are we playing these players rather than these other players, whatever it is. And you can make arguments similar to the ones you are. I would say Daquan Jones has still been okay within the cog of the machine. I bring up the cog of the machine because what I gathered following another performance like it was today was this team is above personnel issues almost to the point at this point. Taylor Rapp being in there was showing that he was kind of an issue, things like that. There's certain people that bring it down a little bit that become frustrating, but overall, the unit that they have is a sum of its parts. And therefore, McDermott and Babbage and stuff, you can have frustrating moments with them, but they are the brains behind the machine. And then on top of it, they will put these guys in the best place to succeed where they see fit, especially coming out of halftime. And I love to just keep emphasizing and driving that thing home because it's like you will see players used in one way in the first half, and then magically all of a sudden their utilization completely changes in the second half and they become much more impactful and everything. I felt like, ironically enough, one of the easier games on paper, being the Cleveland Browns game, was the only game of this entire season that doesn't fit this formula. But overall, it's one where this staff, this organization, everything about it with McDermott at the helm fully grasps and understands what they have personnel wise. They also, in my opinion, understand that it's probably not to the level of quality that they would like it. So from there, they are just doing everything they can to put players in the best position to succeed. The core value of a great coach is understanding what you have and how great you can make it by putting it in its best place possible. It's what makes the receiving core, for instance, so frustrating because you don't have that one alpha, that one dog that slides all the other guys in their best places possible. And that's why it feels so awkward and off. But on the defensive point, what we saw today is a true sum of its parts. And you hear, I love, everyone talks about the Denver defense as a great defense, but you could not name past three players on that defense and think you understand that they have superstars, because beyond Patrick Surtain, who even still feels like just a key part of a overall sum of its parts still, like he is only as good as the rest of his defense with him. I feel the Bills defense, well, not at the results or the the evidence to show that they are that level, because they do have a little bit more holes and concerns or just issues to deal with and get over, they can still do the best they possibly can to cover up those problems, get through things as a unit, and actually provide positive quality results, especially in key moments and down the stretch and in the second half of games, that allows this team to be put in positions to win. And that's what you need out of a good defense, a playoff defense. The defense needs to be there, capable to do things to allow you to win games. They don't need to win you games. They need to allow you to be in the position to win games. They need to get the ball back for your offense. They need to make the stops when you need them the most in a 1 or 2 score game late in a game. And this defense has proved throughout this entire season, for the most part. I mean, even in its losses, Josh, you cannot say that this defense didn't do enough to get the ball back in the offense's hands to win the game. This defense is capable of assisting this team and being a great sum of parts in a one unit of a machine to get to the goal that is playoff success. And that is where I left this game going, they can defend the run in crunch time. They can defend the pass in crunch time. They can make things happen. They can do the things they need to do with McDermott and Babbage understanding what's best for them when it comes to the rooks, when it comes to these veterans, whatever else they have at their disposal. They will get the best thing possible out of them, and they will do the best thing they can to get the ball back for the offense and Josh Allen to hopefully make magic happen.
And that's all you can ask for from this defense is just do your job. Like, don't make it to where the offense has to play perfect. And in in so many of these losses, it's it really has been the offense that have let you down. It's been the defense closing up shop in the second half, not allowing any more points, and then the offense just can't get it done. Let's talk about the offense, Luca, because I feel like we saw some things today from the offense, albeit in a day when the Bills' best passing weapon, Dalton Kincaid, did not play. Now, you can spin that any way you want to. The negative is 2 weeks to go before the playoffs. He's still not ready to play in a game. That's unfortunate. But I think one, the Bills have re-energized Dawson Knox, which is not nothing because I think coming into the playoffs, having two good tight ends is good. But two, I think they really found something in Brandon Cooks. And we'll talk about Tyrell Shavers too, but Brandon Cooks specifically. You could feel this coming the last couple of weeks as his snap count continued to rise. And I think what's the funniest part about Brandon Cooks is most Bills fans, including us, we called him out for game check, have pointed out the two drops, the wide open drops against New England and the wide open drop against Cleveland, where he's open deep downfield and the Bills hit him. But I think while we saw that as, oh my God, this guy stinks, what the Bills saw as, oh my God, we have a guy that can get open downfield. We can count on the catch, but nobody else can get open downfield.
Right.
And as you see his snap counts continue to grow, you're just like, what are they seeing in him? And you saw it today. He is their guy who can get open. This Bills offense, the way it functions with the receivers they put out on the field and the tight ends they have in the running game, they get as easy of coverage for receivers to beat as you could ask for in the NFL. It's almost always single high, and it's almost exclusively one-on-one matchups on the outside, just daring your receivers to win a matchup. Brandon Cooks, I get it. Brandon Cooks is an old receiver. He's been around. He was in the Sammy Watkins draft, folks, the Mike Evans draft. But Brandon Cooks won some one-on-ones today. Another guy, and I've hammered on him this season, that can win one-on-ones is Joshua Palmer. Good news. As far as I know, Joshua Palmer did not get hurt today. Tyrell Shavers, who started this season as a practice squad player, has continued to get better. And today he made a catch that I didn't know was in his bag. Went up and made a quarterback's, trust me, it's a go get it ball. It's a make a play for me ball. The catches you see Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown make for Jalen Hurts every week, that's not a knock on Jalen Hurts. It's a credit to the Eagles for understanding the value of the wide receiver position. Those guys are difference makers. Tyrell Shavers made that play today. I feel, I can't believe I'm saying this, as good about the Bills wide receiver group as it stands now as I think I have all season. I don't think, Luka, that any point in time until between now and the Super Bowl, that anybody's going to confuse Brandon Cooks, Tyrell Shavers, and Joshua Palmer for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. That's not what I'm saying. But I think there is enough talent there if used correctly against the defenses. They will see that these guys can make some hay.
These guys are good enough, hopefully, to make productive plays against a loaded box, single high coverage, everything you pointed out. Defenses are going to game plan the Bills of do not let Josh Allen and James Cook break you on the ground. Do not let the ground game beat you. Do not let the Bills dominate the line of scrimmage. Do not let 4-17 break this game, because we have seen when those two are capable of breaking a game, it's over for you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you're capable of doing. We will beat you. The Bills will do one better. When those two guys are rolling, it's over for you. The game plan should always be beat us in the air, beat us with your receiving weapons. And the 5 guys at the receiver position that were active today will be, if it were you and I would confident in saying both of us, and definitely myself, if you and I were making that decision on game day of actives and actives, and we were looking at this receiver position, the combination of Brandon Cooks, Tyrell Shavers, Khalil Shakir, Jordan Palmer, and Gabe Davis. Did I say Jordan Palmer?
You did, but it's okay. Joshua
God
Palmer.
damn it. Josh Palmer. I always say Jordan Palmer. I don't know why. Josh Palmer and Gabe Davis. Those are your 5. Those are your 5 going into games that matter. Those are the 5. To put it in layman's terms, those are the 5 guys you can depend on the most to get the job done, both on the ground and in the air. Those guys will do the run blocking stuff that you want them to do, and they will hopefully be able to do enough for you in creating opportunities for you in the air, just enough to move the chains. And the move the chains part to me is what is truly what matters. Because once you get this offense in the red area, once you're in the red zone, to me, that's when Josh Allen cooks best, because now you're really introducing his legs, and you can do all you want to contain him and try to do your best thing. You might be able to get him to scramble backwards for 25 yards to get you out of field goal range once in a while.
That can happen.
That can happen. We saw it once again today. But overall, I would like my chances, and I like Josh Allen's chances to punch that ball forward on the ground or scrambling around and create the space for you in the end zone to make a touchdown happen. That is where Josh Allen's in his money bag. That's where everything excels. And I love your conversation point specifically on Brandon Cooks. I called him out to get the F off my team last week. I explicitly said, you are my game check. And not only are you my game check, I need you cut tomorrow. I need you off my team. You are useless. If you cannot catch the ball for me, if you cannot do the one route and one ball that you're getting per game and come down with it, what are you doing here? I will emphasize that point. I still believe if any player is on this team to do one single task and is incapable of doing it week in, week out, I don't want you here. Well, Brandon Cooks just showed that maybe he still has that little bit of dog in him left. I loved after one big catch. I think it was the last big catch of the game. They cut to his face, and there was a little bit of attitude and a little bit of edge coming from Brandon Cooks. And when I saw that, that's what got me excited. That's where this old vet isn't just trying to be a guy making see if he can make a run for one last chance at another ring, things like that. This guy wants to play ball and be something for this offense. He wants to go get those balls. And as you said, they keep going back to him for these deep shots. They keep going back to him to be like, can we get something out of that? And finally, they were rewarded today with him coming down with those catches. And maybe that little spark can ignite something in this and in him that will allow that to maybe be something that's a little bit more dependent on in the playoffs and when things matter a little bit more. And that can be truly the stretch situation that opens things back up and creates great positive plays for this team to make the run that we want them to make. So it's I loved seeing what we saw out of Brandon Cooks. The receiving core as a whole, like you said, when you look at the longevity of just this season, this is probably the best 5 you will get. This is what it is. Is this what they need to just keep moving forward with after this season? Absolutely effing not. But when you want to make your run now and you're in the season that you are, this is by far the best thing you can get from it. And yes, I am with you. It can be capable to be good enough to do the things you need it to in this offense. And if Kincaid for the love of God, can be healthier. And I'm going to give Kincaid a little bit of a pass this week for not playing. The only reason is if it's still this soft tissue injury that he's dealing with, and they went out in that pregame and saw the conditions and everything. It's like, no, let's, you need another week to rest up. You need to figure this the F out. We need you healthy. He is still a very dynamic playmaker when he is healthy and available. We all know that. He knows that. The team knows that. This is not the game where it's like you absolutely needed Kincaid to do something because the risk was just not worth the reward. And I'm okay with that. But when you are capable of adding Kincaid back into this mix, Knox is still kind of being that guy at the tight end position that we know he's capable of being. Jackson Hawes is still, I mean, God, Jackson Hawes, I cannot wait for more years of him and developing as a player. I just think the blocking element alone is just incredible. Although he did get blown up at the goal line once, really, really bad. But like, you're a rook, and that's the Philly defense on the goal line. It's bound to happen. So the receiving core and the receiving weapons in general, this is the team you're going to see moving forward, in my opinion, for a playoff run. And I do believe that it's the best thing you can get out of it. And on top of it, it is capable to move the chains and get it to places where then 4-17 can truly do special things and punch it in and get you the points that you need to get the results and move on.
All right, Luka, let's do our favorite segment of the week. Although in a loss, it's not quite as fun, as we are going to do game balls and game checks for the Bills' 13-12 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Was that a scoregami, by the way? I didn't see anything posted about it, so
13-12 feels like it had to have happened, at worst in the 1920s or something. But yeah, something.
All right, Luka, who gets your game ball in the Bills' loss today to the Eagles?
We just talked about him, honestly, but I will do my first ever flip from a game check to a game ball. I feel like if I went back and listened to every one of our episodes doing this segment week in, week out, I don't believe there has ever been a player. I know definitely Zach Moss was never this guy. Brandon Cooks, you get my game ball, man. You showed up finally when your number was called. You made the big plays and brought the balls in when you needed to do so down the field. You were vital on that final drive when they got into the red zone. I believe it was the final drive, was that last big catch. It's good to have a player, a veteran player, a player that does it, a player that even Tom Brady in the booth couldn't help himself but give a little bit of glowing reviews for, because there is a history there between Tom Brady and Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks did get a ring thanks to Tom Brady once. I think he is the kind of guy in this offense that if you can get him to be productive for you, he can be not the X factor, but can at least be a little bit of that shake up difference maker that the rest of these receivers that you currently have in house can't do for you. Brandon Cooks is the one guy who can add a little bit of spice to everything else that is going on in that receiver room. And he can stretch the field a little bit, make you respect the downfield game a little bit. And, not that Palmer can't do that as well, but I just think Brandon Cooks does it in a fashion that, as long as he's bringing the balls down with his hands, it is a great sight to be seen. We saw it today, and props to you. I'm thankful you weren't cut after last week, as I like to call it out, and I'm happy to see what you did for this team this week. I'm excited to see what you can do moving forward. Brandon Cooks, you get my game ball following this 12-13 loss to the Eagles.
I think that's a good call. I thought Brandon Cooks was a star that shined out there today. I also would like to call out Tyrell Shavers. I thought he had a very big game out there today. I think Dawson Knox has been absolutely shining out there for the Bills at when his number's been called in place of Kincaid. That's been good to see. I thought Joshua Palmer, he only had one catch for 12 yards. It looked like he's just getting a little bit faster out there. Again, he's not ever going to be a stud. But Joshua Palmer, to me, has the ability to do things other receivers in this group can't, even though I don't think he's a special player. So all of those guys mentioned, I'm going to go with Matt Milano, though, because again today, he just looks more vintage. He looks faster out there. He looks like he's playing closer to the Matt Milano speed. And he blew up a couple plays today. did he get us half of a sack? Let me check on that real
I believe
quick.
he did get half
Half
a
of a
sack. Yes.
sack, led the team in tackles, 4. But ultimately, you know, there's only a couple players on this team that if they play to their ceiling can really change the progress of this team. He's one of them. And seeing him play this strong down the stretch has been a very positive sign. So for that, I'm going to give Matt Milano my game ball. Luka, who gets your game check for their performance today?
Very rarely do I go down the avenue I'm about to go down. Buddy, I don't need you kicking it directly in a defensive tackle's hand.
One
Although,
job.
impressive play to penetrate as fast as you do and get as high as you do. Jalen Carter, that is why you are a special talent. But
Mhm.
when it's an extra point, I mean, you have got one job. And simply put, because you kicked such a low ball that got blocked, that is what put the Bills in the position that it was, where they had to go for 2 to win the game rather than ask you to do it one more time. Badgley, buddy. That is grounds to be cut. I don't know if they would do so just because the kicker's position what it is, and obviously let's hope Prater is getting healthier sooner rather than later. But I don't need to see Badgley in the postseason, so you might only have one more week on this roster, but this was enough for me to say, hey, Badgley, you get my game check award. I hope to never see you again. Even as funny as it is to see a kicker wearing 32 kicking for the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, no, you need to do a better job, but that is unacceptable. And simply put, a massive chunk of reason we lost this game.
I agree. Michael Badgley has been terrible since coming to the Bills. I would not anticipate them making a move because I think he was pretty much the best option out there when they signed him. And at this point, with 2 weeks to go to the playoffs, like at least he's got familiarity with the whole operation. But yeah, Matt Prater, how we doing, buddy? We could use you ASAP. All right. I'm not going to give it to Josh Allen. I think that's silly, but I didn't think Josh Allen had a particularly great game today. I mean, there were some splash plays. There always are with Josh Allen. But the miss at the end was not good. The fumble was really the difference in the game. So Josh Allen, unfortunately, owns that. I think this was one of the offensive line's worst games of the season, and I'll give it to him collectively. There was a play where, again, Jalen Carter was Luka's preseason pick for Defensive Player of the Year. So he's in that elite tier of players. He absolutely sunned Osiris Torrance on a play to get to Josh Allen. Josh Allen was sacked 5 times. It seems like everybody on the offensive line took their turns. David Edwards got flipped around like a top on one play. I didn't think this was the offensive line's best game, and I think that was evident in the rushing stats where James Cook averaged 3.7 yards per carry, Ty Johnson 3, and then Ray Davis only had 1 carry for 4 yards. So kudos to the Eagles defensive line. It was as good as advertised. I don't want to say Terrell Bernard because he did leave with an injury, but I just think further proof that Shaq Thompson's the guy. My game check, it's going to be weird. It's going to be Joey Bosa. And not for anything he necessarily did, but I think when the Bills get into these matchups against teams that major in running the ball, boy, that's not Joey Bosa's game. It is. We've seen instances now, whether it's the Miami game, the Ravens game, where you need an edge to contain, and it's like you're begging for Epinesa to be out there, and Epinesa, that's not the strength of his game either. Like, where is Shaq Lawson? But Joey Bosa, if you're going to play against, say, like Drake May, and you need somebody to get the quarterback to the ground, Joey Bosa is your guy. But in these slugfest, the Colts are eliminated, but if you were going to see Jonathan Taylor, I think you'd rather see pretty much anybody else but Joey Bosa out there. So just because of that, I'll give him the game check. Although I didn't notice him having a bad game, but I didn't notice him at all today. So that's why I'm going Joey Bosa. Look, anybody that I missed there as far as negativity?
As far as negativity, I do appreciate the Josh Allen call out. I feel the irony of a tuck rule fumble happening with Tom Brady in the building with poor weather is just, I couldn't deceive myself with the laughable nature of all of that. And Josh Allen's confidence that he threw that ball, and you watch the replay and go, hey Josh, I don't know if we're seeing the same thing that you believe you saw in your own brain and during that operation, but if it smells like a fumble, tastes like a fumble, looks like a fumble, I don't think they're going to overturn this thing and call it not a fumble all of a sudden for you. You are not Tom Brady in the snow against the Raiders, sadly. It is that was a good call out. Yeah, I don't think there's really anyone else. I do like the Joey Bosa call out. It's just one of those. This is where you see those pass rushers for this team just disappear, and that's not necessarily it's not a knock on them. That's you brought in Joey Bosa to rush the passer. That's why you paid him the money. That's what you paid him to do. It would be nice if that edge guy, that elite edge pay guy, could do a little bit more of something else for you. Maybe like a Max Crosby who is just a trick of all trades, a Myles Garrett, whatever else. But Joey Bosa is on the Bills right now making the money that he does, and he's not still a Charger for a specific reason or reasons that you're not gonna get that out of him. I don't think there's really any other negativity to go elsewhere when it comes to game check stuff. I think everyone else kind of just did their business, and ultimately, unfortunately, with everyone doing their jobs minus Michael Badgley, we just came up a little bit short.
All right. I am, as you talk, looking at something because I want to talk about now the how the Bills are going to handle week 18. They play the New York Jets in the last game at Highmark. Sean McDermott was asked about this in his post-game press conference. How important is the last game of Highmark to you? He said it's very important, but the Bills have some decisions to make. And what he means by that is, do they elect to rest some guys? And some guys you might think of, James Cook, who did get dinged up today, Josh Allen, who you have the option to do what you did last year, have him go in, hand the ball off one time, get Trubisky out there and let him rest. I would be in very much favor of that. What's at risk for the Bills if they lose to the Jets? If they lose to the Jets, they almost certainly fall to the 7. In fact, I don't think there's any option where they lose and they don't fall to the 7.
Yeah.
So you do that, then you're looking at a scenario where, depending on how the out of town scoreboard goes, you're either playing the Patriots or the Jaguars as the 7 seed. So depending on what you think about those two teams, if you're like living in a Patriots fear bunker or Jaguars fear bunker, maybe that impacts your opinion. I'm of the belief, Luka, none of these landing spots for the Bills, whether it's the Ravens, if the Steelers were in at 5, if the Steelers had beaten the Browns today, I would be way more upset about this loss. You just blew a chance to go play the Steelers in the first round. The fact that the Ravens are still alive is another reason why I'm like, whatever. I think the Ravens have a good roster. I think they've been held back by their quarterback, who's been very hurt this year. And I think when they put it all together, they can be very scary. Can they do that 4 games in a row? I very much doubt it. But I think whether it's at Baltimore, at Jacksonville, at Denver, at New England, go there and take your shot. And those are, barring a massive upset, going to be the 4 home teams, one of them getting a bye. So from there, I would rather see the Bills err on the side of health. If the Bills go out and try to win this game, that means they will almost certainly, if the Bills beat the Jets, it's hard to find a scenario where they don't play the Jaguars in the first round. We've gone through this. I'll go through it very quickly. I would say just trust me, but doesn't make a lot of sense. I get it. I am assuming the Patriots, with a chance to get the 1 seed. And now the other thing we don't know, let me stop myself. We don't know the week 18 schedule yet. The NFL could throw a wrench in all of this and put the Broncos game on Saturday, and the Patriots could know on Sunday they have no chance for the 1 seed, and they could not lose on purpose, but rest their guys. That could throw things off. I wouldn't anticipate that, though. The NFL generally wants to line these games up where everybody that needs to play for something doesn't know the result until they're playing. The Patriots need to win to stay alive for the 1 seed. I'm assuming the Patriots beat Miami. I'm assuming the Jaguars, who are also playing for the 1 seed, will beat the lowly Tennessee Titans. And from there, I'm assuming the Texans, who are playing the Colts, are going to win. That doesn't even really matter that much. So the one that's up in the air, Chargers, Broncos. If the Broncos beat the Chargers, that knocks this is with a Bills win over the Jets. That knocks the Chargers down to 7, the Bills to 6, puts the Broncos at 1, Patriots at 2, Jaguars at 3, Bills at Jaguars. If the Chargers beat the Broncos, the Patriots go up to 1, the Jaguars go up to 2 because they won head to head with the Broncos. That puts Bills at 7, 7-2 Jaguars. That's a lot to say. We've played around with this machine. I realize it doesn't make great podcast listening to go through all these scenarios, but that's what this time of year does. How would you approach week 18, Luka?
Josh Allen's going to get the start, but have a seat, buddy. I know we wanted to see you in a red helmet. Would have been cooler to maybe do it this week. Tell the what you call it? Tell the Eagles, hey, we're gonna wear the red helmets instead of the red jerseys against you. That would have been pretty cool. But oh wow, I just watched Jennings score a touchdown. That's gonna win the fantasy championship for someone I know. So what you call it? You're gonna take a seat after that. Mitch Trubisky's coming in, do your thing. I imagine Kincaid, if he's still banged up, hey buddy, take another week, get better. We need you when the games matter most. You're going to play this with caution. You're gonna still go out there and try to win the game. And in all honesty, even with Mitch Trubisky, I'd like to believe that this team is still capable of resting guys and beating the Brady Cook Jets, a team that allowed the Patriots to score touchdowns on their first 6 drives today. The first time they did that since the Brady Moss connection was a thing for New England. So let's just say vibes aren't great for the Jets. You can still handle things however you need. So even if you're concerned about result, I believe you can play on the side of caution. Win-loss doesn't matter, as you laid it out perfectly. I think your matchups either being at Jacksonville, at New England, or in a very weird one-off if the Chargers were to take care of business and beat the Broncos, which in my opinion, I don't believe would be the case depending on how things set up. Or even then, by the way, if the Patriots still take care of business, you're going to Jacksonville based on the one thing I just flipped. You're going to take that matchup all day long and just roll the dice as you may. Like the Bills are one of the rare teams right now in the AFC. I think the Bills, the Texans might be the only 2 AFC teams that don't have enough care, sway. I don't have enough motivation to go in and feel like they need to absolutely play at 100% to win their game. I think those are the 2 teams that can feel comfortable that realistically they're going to be where they are. We're just going to go into this, put air on the side of caution, rest guys where we can, try to get in, get out healthy. And ultimately, if we win the game, great. If not, we're still going to be in a great spot to make a playoff run, or however they seem fit. Everyone else has things to play for. The Chargers could kind of be in that boat as well, but I feel like the Chargers could try to play a matchup game there. Again, are they going to sit there and go, hey, we'd rather play the Broncos again rather than the Patriots? I don't know. But yeah, it's one of those ones where I don't think you're not going to have the opportunity most likely to play the Steelers. So why does anything else matter? You've secured things. You're not going to be able to play the Steelers in all likelihood. It could be the Ravens there anyways. Let's just get through week 18 as healthy as possible, and let's get to those games that matter the most. I know it sucks for the Red Helmets and the farewell to Highmark that it wouldn't be a more ceremonious or more important game to play. But the reality of the situation is, does anyone in that stadium honestly think that they would care more about the stadium getting its proper farewell in red helmets over being in the best health possible to make a Super Bowl run? If you say yes to that, I have questions to why. Because overall, I think you just need to get through the Jets game as healthy as possible, and the games that matter most will be there for you. And realistically, it feels like Bills at Jets, or Bills at Jags, not Jets, Bills at Jags, a rematch of the 2017 playoffs, or I guess it's technically 2018, is in store for us to enjoy Wild Card weekend.
Let's talk about things that may or may not matter. Let's decide if we think they matter. James Cook right now has, I just had it up, has a 47-yard lead over Jonathan Taylor for NFL rushing leader. Let's just assume that Jonathan Taylor's game hasn't played yet, or if it has, he's gotten more than 47 yards. Does that impact what the Bills do with James Cook?
No, not at all. I would think the Bills couldn't care less. Maybe James Cook has a clause in his deal that he recently signed that says if he's a rushing leader, he gets a little bit of a bonus. I don't know. And if that is there, I think that changes it, because I believe McDermott's a player's coach and he would absolutely try to honor something like that. But I think there would be a healthy conversation in that. Hey, we're going to give you the first half. If you can't do it in the first half and you're knocked, banged up, whatever, we're going to sit you in the second half. If you're not within 10 yards, whatever. I mean, let's say it's a 70-yard gap because Jonathan Taylor went off for 150 yards or whatever the math tells you. I mean, if it's 70 yards, that'd be 110 change, 115, 120, whatever. Let's say Jonathan Taylor goes off on a Saturday because they put Titans at Jags on Saturday. So now you know your number. And it's like, hey, if you can get within 10 yards by halftime or break it by halftime, we'll let you keep going. If you can't, we're going to bench you. And sorry, it's just not working out. You're banged up. If James Cook's at full health, I think you could play around with that. You can try it. I mean, I think they've shown in years past, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, they were putting him back in 1 yard out to punch in rushing touchdowns to be the rushing touchdown leader. I feel like that was happening.
They sure were.
Yeah.
When everybody else was out, James Cook was going in.
They do those things, so I get it. But I think there would be kind of a healthy compromise. But overall, I don't think rushing title matters enough, barring any sort of bonus, contract stuff that James Cook could actually get monetary things for. And then if that happens, I would like to believe that they would at least give it a somewhat of a go if there's a known line. If you have Titans Jags at the same time as Bills Jets, that's a very different story in my opinion, where I would err on the side of caution with James Cook and be like, hey man, we know that you have a chance to be the rushing leader and all of that kind of stuff. We really need you to make a Super Bowl run. So that's what's more important to you.
All you have to do is look at the team across the field from the Bills today. Saquon Barkley had a chance, I think, at 2,000 yards last year, or maybe the rushing record.
Breaking the whole rushing record. Yeah.
And Nick Sirianni sat him the last week, or at least a good portion of it, saying, I need you for a Super Bowl run. And I'm not as confident that Cook would be in favor of that, but, there's people that make that call ahead of him. Okay, the other thing that may or may not matter, and this could benefit the Bills even if they rest their starters, the New York Jets, who at the trade deadline traded Sauce Gardner for 2 firsts, Quinnen Williams for a first and a second, are currently slated to pick 3rd in the draft. Luka, who is the starting quarterback for the 2026 Jets on the roster, in your opinion?
No.
So this is a team that should be prioritizing draft capital, right?
Yes.
And they have a coach that's going to be here, so he would be invested in that draft capital being good. Maybe. Probably. Okay.
There's precedent.
If the Jets lose to the Bills, they're currently slated to pick 3rd. If they lose to the Bills, they'll pick no higher than 3rd. They could pick as early as 2nd if the Giants beat the Cowboys next week. We've learned the Raiders are not going to win. They did everything to tell us this week they're not going to win. They want that first pick. They got it against the Giants. If the Jets beat the Bills, Luka, they could fall from 2nd or 3rd all the way down to 7th. That is massive. Huge. In the draft pick value ratings. That's like the value of 2 first-round picks. I mean, we've seen teams do it before. The Patriots last year did it. They still got a really good player in Will Campbell. But if you're a team like the Jets, you're doing everything to avoid that if you're smart. And, within the respect of the game, you're not kneeling on the ball, but, you're taking out as many guys as you can. So I do think that the Bills could have the luxury of resting key players and winning the game. All right, Luka, we have a fun week ahead of us. Another holiday is afoot as New Year's Eve is on Wednesday night, which I think definitely puts the live show in jeopardy. Although I think we can probably throw something together if it's Tuesday or whatever. We'll get something out. We'll get something out because I don't like not going 2 weeks without a live show. I know you don't either.
Yeah.
Next week, the Bills play the Jets. Time to be determined. I think we'll know that probably by the end of tomorrow night's game.
I mean, we
And
we could know that. I believe there's going to be a schedule release following the Sunday night game, Josh. So if
oh,
you want to roll it to the end of this,
we could
that
do
should
that.
be able to possible.
Let's do it. Let's get some breaking news. And then Luka and I will be back, obviously, for Bills chat as we break down. I'm predicting, Luka, we don't do a lot of breaking down of the Bills Jets game next week on the podcast. I think we're already jumping into playoff preview mode.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to want to hear about, what Cook could potentially do to A minus B team defense, whatever they're trying to throw out there, and or whatever. It's honestly, I'm going to be very intrigued. I will say, I'm not necessarily a fan of the Saturday game situation, but I fully understand why the NFL does it, just to create more intriguing storylines, dynamics, get more teams that you're going to most likely see in the postseason on your television in prime time slots, this and that, all of those things. But I just I feel like when you do that, you are forcing the hand of certain teams to maybe take that kind of decision making out of it when it comes to playing, resting, whatever it is. The luxury of potentially allowing yourself to utilize that final week when all of your things feel to be locked in the manner that they are, to rest up and maybe get that pseudo bye week for you, even to maybe make a run the way that you hope to. So I that is going to be more of the discussion. I will say, Josh, it wouldn't surprise me. We're going to talk about it here. I would imagine they're going to put, I would like to believe that they're going to put maybe Dolphins at Patriots. Let me just say that. I think that is a Saturday game.
Mhm.
Titans at Jags could potentially be a Saturday game. The Sunday night game is locked in for I think NBC was calling Cleveland and being like, you do not call this pass interference in that end zone, sir. We need Raven Steelers on Sunday night, last game of the season, because they were staring down the barrel of that winning in game being Bucks Panthers. And if you had to ask NBC who they'd rather see on their program between Steelers Ravens or Panthers Bucks, boy, I would love to see any NBC exec that tells me it's Panthers Bucks, because I just don't believe them one bit. You got the chance to have a game in Pittsburgh against the Ravens, a old school, traditional, hated rivalry with everything on the line. The storyline of Lamar Jackson, if he's available, the storyline of Tomlin and Harbaugh, this and like, you could not ask for a better situation. That will be the final game. I feel like that's inevitable. But the Saturday games, to me, Josh, I'd be curious what you think. I believe that the Patriots Dolphins game feels perfect now to be a Saturday game. And then the Broncos Chargers game is going to be on Sunday because they want both of those games to matter as much as they possibly can. And then from there, I can't even see what the other Saturday game is, but it could potentially be Titans, Jags, maybe. I don't know.
I'm trying to find if they have it anywhere, like what the time slots are, like how many games are going to be on Saturday. Okay, 2 week 18 games played on Saturday, 4:30 and 8. I could see, to your point, Patriots Dolphins to start the day off, and then I could see Bucks Panthers closing the day out. Like that's a pseudo play-in game. I know I want to say there's a Falcons scenario where if the
There is.
Falcons do something.
If the Falcons beat the Saints and then the Bucks beat the Panthers, they all end up what you call it. Let me do it here. I believe they all end up 8-9, and then due to common opponents, I want to say it, or no, is it this? Yeah, no. something like that. There's something wonky with that whole trifecta situation. That so the Falcons have to win tomorrow night for what it's worth to create that weird three-way tie at 8-9. Are the Falcons going to win at home against the Rams? Probably not. So then it becomes a true win and in, but it feels like they could potentially set it up so that you get Panthers Bucks on Saturday. I don't know. That's the one that feels a little bit weird just because of that Falcons outlier, but also at the same time, I would like to say that the NFL is a gambling organization enough to go, do we really think the Atlanta Falcons are going to beat the Rams with everything on the line for the Rams? Probably not.
I agree with you. I am looking at the playoff machine now to see the matchups. Patriots Dolphins makes sense. Honestly, I could see Bills Jets in that spot because Bills with the Patriots having locked up the division, Bills winning against the Jets tells them nothing. They still have to play hard. And the Bills, if they play early, they're motivated to win, but like the more information they have along the way, the more apt they could be potentially to lay down. So I mean, I could see them putting the last high mark game on Saturday, midday, or maybe even to close out the day. I don't know. I mean, you could really risk burning some national TV hours with Mitch Trubisky against
It's
Brady Cook. I don't.
I
I'm
will say
talking myself out of that.
this might be the first year. I didn't mean to talk
No,
over
you're
you,
good.
but this might be the first year where the week 18 slate is showing where that 18th week could be truly as weak as possible. Like it is a tough slate where I struggle to see where the interesting games are and stuff because a lot of things are pretty much set up exactly where they need to be. So yeah, that's one where this might be the first season since we've introduced the 18th week where it's like this could have really finished after 17 weeks and no one would have complained.
Let me see something as I'm playing with this machine here. Okay.
Luther Bird and Big Drop.
We are watching the end of 49ers Bears. If the 49ers win, 49ers Seahawks next week is for the 1 seed.
Good call.
That's major. That could be Saturday night.
Yeah.
I don't think that I think whoever wins that game, I don't know. I guess is there anything where the Rams could decide they don't care?
Rams need all three teams being the Niners, Seahawks, and Bears to lose a game. So the Rams are rooting for the Bears to win this game because they need the Niners to lose, but then the Niners to beat Seattle next week. And then also on top of it, then next week they would need, which this is where you get a little bit of a long shot, but you need Lions to come to Soldier Field and beat the Bears to then for the Rams to get back into that 1 seed.
I mean, Dan Campbell could try to stick it to Ben Johnson for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I could absolutely see the Lions have done that. The Dan Campbell Lions did that to Aaron Rodgers in his final game as a Packer. There is precedence for that exact situation happening. Now that one knocked out the Packers altogether from the playoffs. Oh, well, no, they were already eliminated right before the snap. But even if they were, it's like Dan Campbell was going to win that effing game because F the Packers and we're establishing a culture here. But yeah, that's a good shout by you. Man, 4th and 5.
I think you could almost see if you want to get really fancy, Bucks Panthers early on Saturday, Niners Seahawks late, with then the Sunday night game Steelers Ravens. That way, every game that's kind of like play and in or play and 1 seed has its own like standalone.
Yeah.
All right, 4th and 5. I'm a little behind Luka here. You already know what happens. We'll see if Caleb can pull it out or if we're going to be ever so much closer to finding out the schedule for next week. Caleb finds a way, and the Bears are driving.
Oh, man.
We are going to just hang on here, Luka.
I just want the schedule. I just want the schedule. We timed this so poorly, Josh. We should have waited.
We timed it so poorly. Give me some chatter on the Sabres. What's been going on with the Sabres?
W8. For anyone out there that cares right now. The Sabres are on an absolute tear. They are, in fact, a wagon. We are on a W8. Josh, tomorrow night, or for anyone listening tonight, if you're listening on Monday, shout out you. But we're at the Blues with the chance to go on a W9. The Blues haven't been great of late, and but they also have absolutely beaten the shit out of the Sabres earlier this season in Buffalo. So with everything on the line, I will say this: vibes are absolutely through the roof right now with the Sabres. The Yarmo era is undefeated, and what was it last night? Last night from recording this Saturday night, we saw the Sabres without Darlene for personal reasons, went back over to Sweden to enjoy the holidays with his wife, dealing with all the things that she is. And this team didn't have Darlene. And when they don't have Darlene, they have shown that they perform very poorly. They went out there and won a game in dominant like fashion. They went out there and all right. Well, they went out there and went one goal down and essentially came out in the second period, punched the Bruins in the mouth, basically tapped them out. And Sabres are people. If you don't watch hockey, one, I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this pretty much at least has some core understanding of the Sabres. Sabres are one of the most fun teams to watch in the NHL right now. This is just what a time to be alive when it comes to Sabres hockey and Buffalo sports in general. We have Sabres in relevancy right now after a W8. We have the Bills, obviously making a playoff run, hopefully. Oh my goodness, Caleb. Sorry. Last play of the game. I'm watching this. I don't want to spoil it for Josh though. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is a great time to be alive when it comes to a Buffalo sports fan. And yeah. I'm excited when it comes to Sabres all day long. I mean, this is just crazy times. It's crazy times. I will say I came up with a shirt idea also on the topic because of something I won't reveal on this podcast, but it's good time in Buffalo sports. And
where they were when they made their GM change to where they are now is astounding.
It's crazy. It's legitimately insane. And Josh just saw the end of the game.
Caleb tried everything he could.
Yeah, Caleb getting out of the sack, all that. Luther Burden looks like he might be banged up, unfortunately. And the Niners versus Seahawks will be for the NFC champion, or the NFC West champion, as well as the 1 seed next week. So that one feels now locked in as a Saturday game.
Do you have a preference of where the Bills play?
Jackson.
No, I mean next week time wise.
Oh, next week time? Sunday. Just Sunday. Put them in the classic. Why is it always when they play the Jets in week 18 or week 17, Josh? It's like Jets pay at Bills 4:00 time slot on a Sunday. It's like that feels like it happens every time when that matchup occurs. That honestly, at this point, that's what I would prefer. Great defensive call, by the way. Came out in like kind of a double mug a gap look, and then they just essentially told 47 Huff on the edge to, if you come in free, just contain, and that forced Caleb to really roll out wide. Caleb did a good job slipping through it, but just couldn't really put anything into it, and came up short. Something that I expect Caleb to do a lot more in his career. Shots fired. So yeah, I would prefer the Bills to be the Sunday slate in general. I don't like the idea of Saturday. I think there's not enough intrigue for that game to do that. And honestly, as I mentioned before, you put the Bills in the Saturday spot, Josh, they're probably more inclined to play their starters. And that's what I don't care for the most. I think that forces the hand of the Bills where there's still opportunity for them that they would play. But now with seeing what happened here, and understanding that I will be stunned if they go Seahawks Niners on Sunday night rather than Ravens Steelers. But Steelers Ravens feels like it's destined for Sunday night, last game of the season. And then now it feels like Niners Seahawks, they probably penciled in for, let's call it the Saturday night slot. That feels to be written in Sharpie now. And I think we both agree Dolphins at Patriots, with the 1 seed implication still potentially being alive there, to then force Denver to play out for that game. That one feels like a nice Saturday afternoon that I don't fear the Bills to be anywhere but the Sunday slate, the Sunday usual slate, we'll call it.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a scenario that'd be good for the Bills as far as knowledge goes, and I just can't get there. Um, I mean, the only thing that Saturday does is it gives you an extra day of rest before the playoffs, but still, that seems kind of minuscule at this point. Luca, I've been refreshing Twitter like crazy. I don't see anything as far as bum 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 bum. Somebody just said still a chance to end up facing Baltimore. There sure isn't. Um, the Bills cannot be the 5 seed at this point, right? Or I guess
They
Houston
if
would. Yeah, they win and Houston loses,
yeah,
and
Houston has to lose to the Colts and excuse me, and the Chargers have to lose to the Broncos.
I guess that's possible.
It's possible. I can't even say it like that. I respect what Riley Leonard did with Notre Dame last year, taking them to a national championship appearance. That's where I'll leave that. I will say, at least he has a stronger arm than Phillip Rivers when it comes to a Hail Mary attempt, as we saw today. I was really hoping Shane Steichen left Phillip Rivers in for a Hail Mary throw. Come on. Like, man, I don't think Rivers even gets it within 10 yards of the end zone.
No.
But, God, it is the last snap of his professional career for certain. There is no way Phil Rivers is ever coming back after probably what he went through the last 3 weeks.
But, you don't think he's playing in Houston next week?
God, no. I bet he is going. He walked into that locker room and they probably treated him like a king and, gave him a proper farewell. Deservingly so. What Phillip Rivers did is incredible. 44 years old, has no reason to get off his couch and help anyone at that age and whatnot, and said, golly, you know what? It sounds like a fun opportunity, and went out there, almost beat the Seahawks in Seattle, which was crazy in its own right, and then had a hell of a performance on Monday night against the Niners, all things considered. And to do the things that he did at 44 years old with what the arm strength or lack thereof we witnessed, I honestly gained a lot more respect for Phillip Rivers after this whole thing. And honestly, if you were to ask me if it helped his, yep, there we go. Oh, Panthers at Bucks Saturday afternoon, Seahawks at Niners Saturday night.
This is what I do.
And then the 1:00 slate is Packers, Vikings, Browns, Bengals, Colts, Texans, Cowboys, Giants, Saints, Falcons, Titans, Jags. So guess what, Josh? I made fun of how somehow, some way, Jets come to the Bills the last week of the season, and they end up in the 4:00 spot. It's incredible how that happens. They haven't shown it yet on the screen, but yeah, we're gonna get Panthers at Bucks out the gate to see who makes it. Okay, here we go. 4:00, 4:25 slate is Chargers at Broncos, Chiefs at Raiders, Commanders at Eagles, Jets at Bills, Dolphins at Patriots, also there, Cardinals at Rams, Lions at Bears, which leaves only one game and one game only that they haven't shown on the screen yet until this very second. With Derrick Henry and Aaron Rodgers on the screen, we get Ravens at Steelers Sunday night football for the final regular season game of the 2025 season.
Sorry for clearing my throat into the microphone. Hopefully that wasn't as obnoxious as I think it sounded.
That was good. Soft.
What the Bills will know when they kick off, I don't think that will impact what they do. They will know who wins the AFC South, because if the Jaguars were to lose to the Titans and the Texans beat the Colts, the Texans would then win the AFC South, which in turn would make it very likely the Bills go to Houston in the first round instead of Jacksonville. I don't think the Bills will have enough knowledge about when that game kicks off to actually impact what they do. Yes, Luka.
That is not necessarily true, my friend.
Hmm.
So if the Titans were to beat the Jags and the Texans were to beat the Colts, Texans win the AFC South, as you said. If we had Broncos winning over the Chargers are going to, and also it's Bills are going to Baltimore, assuming Baltimore wins. Chargers are going to New England, and the Jags are going to the Texans. The Jags have a tiebreaker, or sorry, the Bills have a tiebreaker on the Jags. I don't know what that is, but they have it.
So the Jaguars lose to the Titans.
And the
And
Texans beat Jaguars lose to the Titans. Texans beat the Colts. That gives the Texans the 3 seed and the division. From there, Broncos take
Chargers to lose to the Broncos, which I think we're predicting.
correct. Yeah, I would imagine Broncos are going to try to take care of business because they want the 1 seed. They're going to go all out for it, of course. So basically, favorites win out from there. Your Bills are the 5 seed and are going to the winner of the AFC North.
Let's do what I like to do and see what Vegas thinks. Okay. This tells me a lot. What do you think the line is for Bills Jets?
Bills minus 9.5.
Bills minus 11.5. Vegas thinks the Bills are going to try.
Yeah.
What do you think the line is for, where is Broncos Chargers? It's not on the board. That is interesting. No, there it is. What do you think the line is for Broncos Chargers?
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos minus 5.5.
Broncos minus 7.5.
Whoa.
That feels like Chargers might be sitting. That's heavy.
That's way heavy. Yeah, I was going heavy with 5.5 just because I think the Chargers are banged up. That is extremely heavy to do a full touchdown and the hook. What do we got for Texans Colts?
Texans minus 10.
Okay, that's fair. And then Jags hosting the Titans. I would imagine it's like Jags minus 8.
Minus 10.5.
Okay.
Here's a couple for you. Seahawks at Niners.
Give me Seahawks minus 1.5.
Really? I would have thought Niners are favored at home. Seahawks minus 1.5.
Dude, Vegas, the public, they love themselves some Sam Darnold, JSN, and the Seahawks. I don't know what it is because I sure as hell don't see it. If you watch that Seahawks-Panthers game, mind you, and you came out there going, this Seahawks team is great, I think you're weird. So, I'm with you thought process-wise, but I know looking at these damn lines as much as I do, unfortunately, as sad as it to say, yeah, Vegas and the public does like the Seahawks, so it doesn't surprise me at all they would open it up with the Seahawks as a slight favorite. I also will say the public and Vegas in general, they respect the shit out of Seattle's defense. They like Seattle's defense a lot. If you look at props and stuff like that, you can get some pretty juicy, tempting lines in opposition against the Seahawks, but that tells you there that Vegas really respects the shit out of Seattle defense.
And then the Bears with everything on the line. Well, no, Bears don't really have much to play for now, do they?
No. The Bears could go as high as the 2 seed. They could go as low as the 3 seed. So
doesn't matter.
The Bears and the Eagles to me are going to rest. They're going to be like, hey, wherever the chips fall.
That explains why Bears are minus 1.5 at home against Detroit. Okay. Yeah. One last thought. I've already seen it on Twitter. A lot of Bills fans and Eagles fans chirping back and forth. Oh, Josh Allen choked in the end. Oh, your quarterback completed 16 yards in the second half. He didn't complete a pass. Yeah. Folks, listen to Uncle Josh. Don't engage. This game was 2 good teams playing for almost nothing. If the Eagles win this game, they're the 2. If they lose this game, they're the 3. And guess what? The Eagles are going to be the 2 or the 3.
Yeah.
If the Bills win this game, unless you think that Quinn Ewers is going to New England next week and beating the Patriots, I don't choose to live in that world. The Bills were going to be the 5, the 6, or the 7. Going into next week, the Bills are going to be the 5, the 6, or the 7. Just didn't matter that much. So don't get worked up over it. Just move on and hope that you see him again. All right. Luka, that's going to do it for us. Longer show. Kind of fun to see how the schedule played out. The Bills will play next week and the 4:00 slate against the New York Jets. Last game at Highmark, most likely, especially after today, because chances are they're not going to be the 5 seed, which means only one team at most could come to Highmark, and that would be the 7 seed if they're the 6 seed.
Yeah.
So the Bills will finish up Highmark next week, and that'll be kind of cool. We'll see if it's Josh Allen. We'll see if it's Mitch Trubisky. We'll see if the Bills try to win. We'll see if they don't. Either way, Luka and I'll be back to break it down next week. For Luka, I am Josh McCarty. The Bills drop their second home game of the year. We'll see you next week on Bills Chat.